Good evening, people. It's me, Courtney. I'm back with another video, and tonight I'm going to be discussing about the workplace, and this is chapter 11, and it's called Avoid Discussing Your Political Views at Work. This is from my book, How to Survive in Babylon. I'm just going to talk about, discussing your political views at the workplace. Now, to start off with, I'm just going to read just a few sentences about in this chapter 11. Avoid discussing your political views at work. When it comes to discussing politics at work, it's wise to tread carefully. The workplace is not the best environment to dive into deep political discussions, especially if your views don't align with the mainstream. Right, so just to start there, so when you're at work, right, some of you may have gone to work and you found some people that's got into, some deep political discussion, right? And they've gotten really deep and they sometimes express some radical views. And it's not a case where it's right or wrong. It's just that they've gone really deep with their political views. And, sometimes I've seen it at the workplace where they've gone so deep with their political views, they sometimes offend others. Now, I'm not saying that you have to be silent, but remember, you're at work. You are in work in the Babylon system, right? That the workplace, in my opinion, just isn't really the place to be engaging in deep political discussion. When it comes to politics and discussing that at work, it's very much surface level, right? If you're discussing surface level politics, that seems to be very much in line with, on an angle of mainstream sort of political discussion, then that's the type of discussion that people can swallow. So, for example, people may talk about Trump, because Trump seems to be like a big conversation in America among people that live in America, right? And you see, again, when you mention someone like him, you can talk about him for a short time and people can digest that, because some people may disagree that he's, back in office again and things like that. But that's as far as you can go. When you start discussing your political views, and if they're very much radical, and that if it's not in alignment of the mainstream conversation of politics, you could put yourself in hot water in the workplace, right? So for those of you that have done this before, or that has a habit of getting too deep with your political views in the workplace, I would advise you not even to bring those kind of views to the workplace. There's a time and a place for certain conversations, right? You didn't get employed to talk about your deep political views at the workplace. It's not the place, right? You have to have some discipline and control over what comes out your mouth in the workplace. The workplace is very politically correct. So there's certain things that you just can't say in the workplace. Now, some of you may say, well, if I can't say this and I can't say that, what can I say? Well, the reality is the workplace is a bit like a prison, right? It's a bit like a prison. There's a lot of things you just can't say, right? And that's just very much the nature of the modern day workplace. It is politically correct. And there's a lot of things that does not wash in the workplace. So you must be careful of what you say in the workplace. I'm not telling you to be, a subservient slave, but in the workplace, there's rules and regulations and how it works. You and I don't control what we do and say in there, right? We have to go by the rules and the alignment of the workplace. If you don't like it, then maybe you want to start your own business where you don't have to be so limited in how you move. But as long as you've got a job, there's rules and guidelines that you got to follow. Right? You just can't go to work and just do what you want and say what you want. At least not for most of us anyway. It's a politically correct environment. So it's just wise not to, just to refrain from expressing political views that are not in alignment with very much the everyday person of society, especially at work. Right? I know one man I used to work with, he expressed some views at the workplace and he was just offending people at the workplace, and people just wasn't really liking what he was saying, right? Now, me personally, me and him used to talk a lot, right? Because me and him had discussions and we agreed on quite a lot of things. But again, he's expressing those views, and at the time, he just wasn't mindful of people that was around him. I'm looking at it and I'm thinking, I had to sort of pull him aside and say, listen, man, you got to be careful what you're saying around the colleagues, because it's not politically correct, and they're going to take offense to that. So you could talk to me about that, just me and you one-on-one, but when you're around the colleagues, just think about what you're saying. And I had to sort of talk to him and, you know, give him some pointers. Said, you're at work, maybe you're not outside, you know, or you're not in the comfort of your own home, you're at work. Right, so for those of you that go to work and that have the itch to want to express your political views that are indifferent of others, just be careful about that. Right, there's a place and time to have discussions, and work isn't the place for it. Not the Babylonian workplace that most of us work at. It's not the place for your deep political discussions. As a politics is very much, you know, when it comes to talking about that work, you can only talk about it on a surface level. But the minute you start getting deeper and you start talking about your ideals that, again, are not in line with the everyday person, in the workplace, yeah, you're going to end up stepping on toes, and, you know, your colleagues going to look at you differently, and, you know, it's going to be, you're going to be very much labelled as, he's that person, or she's that person that has these views. And it can rattle some people the wrong way, and it can cause a bit of a sense of discomfort among you and your colleagues, because your colleagues start to understand what kind of mindset you got, and you don't really want them knowing certain ideologies that you have, because, you know, they don't need to know that. You're just there to do a job, and that's it. Stick to the script of what you were paid to do. Okay, you don't try not to have this sort of need where you feel like I have to express this political ideology. They're not paying you at work to do that, right? So you're wasting your time doing that. They're not paying you to do that, and a lot of the time, people at work don't really care about your views. They're not interested, right? Because you got to understand how the modern day person thinks. Most people out here don't even engage in politics, even care about it, right? So, you know, there's just political views that at the workplace that just doesn't need to be discussed, right? So when you go to it, just have some discipline, right? Be careful of the words that come out your mouth, and just be a diplomat, and just go to work and just get on with what you need to get on with, yeah? And just do it that way, right? And just keep a clean sheet, yeah? Because you don't want to be going to work and everybody's all eyes on you. You don't want to you don't want to put that spotlight on yourself. Remember, you're there to do a job, and a job only. That's all you're there for. You're not there to discuss political views or any type of views that's going to, you know, jeopardize your job at the workplace, right? So I'm not teaching you to be a slave, just in case for those that want to say, oh, you know, teaching us to tend us to be quiet. No, I'm saying if your job is your only source of income, where you don't have a business, remember, not all of us have got businesses. For those of you that have a business that say, oh, look at him, why is he teaching people to be quiet? No, I'm not. I'm saying for those that have a job and that's your only source of income, and you've got kids to feed and bills to pay, come on, this is your life at the moment. So you don't really want to jeopardize that by going to work and saying the wrong things. Be smart, not reactionary, right? And this is what I teach in this book, How to Survive in Babylon, to think, to be strategic, right? The workplace is not the place to discuss deep political views. Keep your political views to yourself in the workplace, all right? And don't make that mistake of feeling like you need to express these radical views of yours in the workplace, because it will cause rift between you and your colleagues. Your colleagues are not going to forget about that. They're not going to forget these words that come out your mouth. They're going to hold it against you, and from time to time they're going to bring it up, and they're going to remind you what you said. If you said something very much, you know, out of the box, that was like, whoa, and it was like, you know, words that were of shock value, they're going to remember that, and they're going to hold it against you. They may not tell you that, but they're going to hold it against you, and sometimes even use it as a case. Sometimes even try and get rid of you, because they're going to say, oh, he's that type of person. Oh, we can't have a person like that working for us. That's another thing. That's how they're going to label you. See, when you start expressing your deep political views and your, you know, if you've got any revolutionary ideologies, they're going to use that and label you with it. And I'm telling you that if that doesn't sit well with them, they're going to try and get rid of you, and they're going to do it in a very sneaky, tactical, strategic way, and they're going to slowly push you out and replace you with someone else. And before you know it, you've lost your job and you wasn't even able to fight back, and nobody was in your corner to help you maintain your job. This is how they do it. So you got to be careful what you say, because they will find a way and get you out. And it's going to be hard for you to even fight back, because they're going to do it in such a way where they're going to sneak under you and sort of pull the rug, and you're not going to be able to get back up, and that's it. And nobody's not gonna sort of get on your side and try to help you keep your job, because those people are employees just like you. They've got bills to pay. They've got children just like you have, right? For those that have got children, they're just trying to survive. So they're not going to risk their job to try and save you from losing yours. They're going to be like, well, sorry, but you're on your own here. You see? So that's how that's going to work. So just for the last time, I'm going to say, you know, for the sake of this chapter, right, and for you, right, that tends to talk too much, right, just be careful about discussing your political views at the workplace. Or should I say, avoid discussing your political views at the workplace. Right, so I'm going to end this video here, and I shall see you in the next video.